When do you need a defense attorney? Hopefully that's a question you never need to ask yourself, but if you're wondering about that for yourself, for someone you care about, or you're just interested in the topic, stay tuned because this is the video for you. My name is Lance Fryrear, and I'm a criminal defense attorney located in Washington State. We're in Linwood, Washington. We've been defending people charged with crimes for more than 20 years, and I was a prosecutor for 7 years before that. So when do you need a defense attorney is something that I have a lot of good information to share. And that's what I'm going to do in this video. So if you find this information useful, please like and please subscribe. More people will get the information they need. So if you're thinking about needing a defense attorney, you probably do. That's probably rule number one. But the most common situation where you need a defense attorney is, of course, if you have a court date. If you've been charged with a crime, you've been arrested, you've got a complaint in the mail for a criminal offense, then you probably need a criminal defense attorney. And if you can afford to find a way to hire a private attorney, then obviously you're most likely going to get a little more attention to you in your case due to caseload issues. But if you can't afford an attorney in a criminal matter, you can apply for a public defender, someone that is paid by the government, but they still work for the clients and trying to help them. Public defenders can do a good job as well. But if you're charged with a crime with a court date, you definitely need a defense attorney. There's some other times you need a defense attorney too. Another time you really need a defense attorney is anytime law enforcement wants to speak with you, right? If there's any chance you're a suspect, it's clear they're reaching out to you for some reason other than, to ask for a donation or something. If they're reaching out to you potentially as a suspect, or if you're not sure why they're reaching out to you, you need a defense attorney. You do not want to talk to the police without at least consulting with a defense attorney first, because hopefully you have no experience with dealing with the police, right? And that's hopefully means you haven't had to deal with it before. But the bad news is you might have an idealized view about law enforcement and that being innocent of something actually matters. In our line of work, what we find is what law enforcement thinks about your innocence or not is what matters, not whether or not you're actually innocent. Certainly other people can lie and tell law enforcement things that aren't true. They can have different versions. And so law enforcement is in a tough position. But you, as the person they're contacting, you shouldn't help them build a case against you by just speaking to them with your guard down, right? We have a video about how to talk to police. We'll link to it here. But if the police are reaching out to you, please, I beg of you, please contact a defense attorney. I can't tell you how many times we've seen cases where somebody's went in and spoken to the police because they have nothing to hide, because they're innocent, and every little thing they say can be turned and used against that innocent client. But that's not what someone else is saying. Someone else is saying they're guilty. And as you can guess, in today's society, it's pretty easy to take any fact and make it look one way versus another. And we're pretty much in an alternative facts society nowadays anyway, aren't we? So it's really important that you speak to an attorney, and you may need to retain the attorney that represents you to either deal with the police for you, to make a decision that you do want to talk to the police and sit there with you and prepare you for the conversation and make sure it's handled fairly, or to tell the police, no, you're not going to talk to them. You're going to assert your right to remain silent. Because remember, in this country, we have no obligation to speak to law enforcement, but if we have the right to remain silent, and that right cannot be used against us. That's constitutional at the state and the federal level. However, there's also rules about making false statements to police officers. If we lie to a police officer and they could show that we did that, and it was material and relied upon in their job, then they could likely arrest us and charge us with the crime of, among other things. One of them could be making a false statement to a public servant. So it's not a casual thing. They're going to want you to think it's casual. Hey, come on, let's just talk. We don't want you even talking on the phone. Okay. So if law enforcement's reaching out to you, that's another time you're going to need a defense attorney. If you've heard that someone's made a claim against you, and you're accused of molesting someone or stealing something, or all types of these nightmare situations that people can find themselves in, even if law enforcement hasn't reached out, yes, you need a defense attorney, right? Because if you've heard something's going to happen, or you heard there's been a report to CPS about the ex has said that you spanked your child too hard, and CPS is involved. Well, if the government's involved, law enforcement is going to get involved if there's any type of allegation of a crime. So don't wait. You need a defense attorney now, right? You need to get some advice. You need to get ahead of things. You need to figure out what your exposure is. You need to potentially start getting witnesses lined up while your memory is still fresh about whatever it is that we're worried about, be it an assault, be it some type of other crime with the victim, be it some type of economic crime, right? If you work at a place where there's a money being handled and transferred, and from you're being blamed for something, or you might be blamed, or you've been fired for money missing, you need a defense attorney, okay? There's lots of times where you need that attorney. Another time you need a defense attorney is typically if you're served with a restraining order, okay? In most cases, defense attorneys can also and are also pretty good at handling defenses on restraining orders. They're civil, they're not criminal, but they're like little trials, they're little stories. And of course, that's what criminal law is about. It's about the story, it's about what happened, it's about proof. And so you might need a defense attorney if you're served with an order. Now, if the order involves child custody and things like that, many defense attorneys will then recommend you go to a family law attorney, right? And family law attorneys also deal with some types of stories and things like that, although I think they have broader skills, financial issues. But especially if there's not kids involved, it doesn't involve child custody, that'd be a good time to reach out to a defense attorney. When else might you need a defense attorney? Well, you're thinking about doing something that maybe you're worried about it being a crime. Now, a defense attorney can't absolve you of criminal liability, but we might know, right, about what could be interpreted as legal or illegal, at least give you an idea, give you some advice, potentially, if you retain the attorney, about risk and ways to limit the risk if you're trying to do something. Hey, I'm really worried. I've got this really difficult neighbor and I want to remove this bush or something that I say on my property. They say it's on their property. I'm afraid they're going to say something about me. I'm afraid they're going to call the police. How do I protect myself, right? A defense attorney might be able to help you there. So, those are some times when it's time to reach out to a defense attorney. There's the obvious ones. You're accused of a crime. You're charged with a crime. You've got court dates. There's less obvious ones. You've heard that the government's looking into something. You know that CPS is involved, or there's an accusation against you and the police aren't involved yet. You need a defense attorney then as well. And what do we do? Well, it's different in different situations, right? If it's a pre-charging situation, the defense attorney can get police reports. Why do you need this attorney? Well, we can get reports. We can get police reports. We could monitor the situation. We could advise you what to do, physically what to do or not. Maybe we should get you to do some classes. Maybe we should get you together some evidence. We could counsel you emotionally. We could try to help you get through this, because you're going to lose sleep at night if you're in a situation where you need a defense attorney. We can try to investigate, try to get that evidence, try to help you investigate. Sometimes we need to get an investigator involved, and sometimes we can influence, right? If the case is charged, or if it's not charged, it's our job, where it makes sense, to try to influence in a positive way. The first rule is do no harm. And so we're playing all types of strategies, because human beings make decisions. But if you're going to have legal help, should the problem materialize, you might as well get it early to minimize the problem, to give a chance to avoid the problem altogether. So I hope you found this useful. These are some times where you need a defense attorney. And if you think you need one, or you actually do need one, you can always give us a call. Again, my name is Lance Fryrear. We've been defending people charged with crimes all throughout Washington State for more than 20 years. And when you give us a call, if it makes sense, we can set you an appointment. We can go over what happened. We can identify a way forward, and we can be there for you. Thank you.